Sound is how I interact with the world. Sound is how I understand the world. Sound is a bridge between real life and an imagined world. I was born in a place called Kaohsiung in Taiwan. It's a very loud city. We used to visit my grandma. She lived in an old town where every Sunday it turns into a market. You can hear all sorts of sounds, conversations and chickens and people screaming. And so from a very young age, I started to be able to track sounds from all directions in a very detailed way that just stay with me throughout my whole life. And then I came to London. London is an amazing place full of energy. I have very sensitive ears. Sound is a way I connect and understand my environment. In places where there are hard surfaces, train stations, stores, pubs that have like wooden paneling. The sound just washes over me and my mind goes into overdrive. When I hear sound, I hear its pitch, its textures. I hear the distance, I hear the direction, I hear the space as well. The feeling's like looking at a very busy painting with a lot of colors and different lines. London is a very crowded city, but throughout the city there are spaces like this, the sanctuaries that I enjoy spending time in. The air is quite cool in this area. I take note of how the light is shining through the leaves. It's quite still today, so there's not quite a lot of wind. The wetness in the soil as well and the smell that comes with it. I love being in nature. It always surprises me in the most unexpected way. About 2 years ago, I spent some time in the rainforests in Australia. In London, I was like constantly searching for a way out. I felt quite disturbed in a very deep way. For the first time in these rainforests, I was in an environment where my mind just stopped and I allowed all the sound that was happening to wash over me. Somehow the animals know you're there, and so you get this kind of silence and I'm just standing still to see what may unfold in front of me. It took a while, but then suddenly, bang, everything just started. But the animals came back online and one thing would trigger another. The frogs on the side would trigger frogs on that side. There was something within me that changed with that experience, and that's why I came back and wrote the album Revel in the Forest. One of the things that really fascinates me is how do I hint at sounds in real life that are familiar without being obvious. I was searching through the instruments for what would sound like a bird. In classical music, people do it on the piano through phrases. But when it came to like these kind of instruments, I spent hours searching. I would just go through them and see what felt right. Tweaking slightly to get also the acoustic of what I imagined in the forest is. Imagination for me comes from within. It always starts with a feeling. And that feeling is, I guess, for me, the hook. I start to draw from my personal experience the type of sounds that may help paint an atmosphere and the environment around that feeling. When I was writing, I was drawing back from my memories of what really struck me when I was spending time in the forest. That feeling of journeying and not knowing what to expect. The piece I played called Closer to Rain, what I'm doing is on the virtual analog synth, I set up a pattern that evokes rain, and it's largely improvised because, when it rains, there is no regular pattern. I use a loop function on the synth, and I also then give it layers because raindrops sound different depending on what it's landing on and also how far it is from you. I morph the sound of the rains from something that is more textural to something that's pitch-based. From then on, that enables me to start with the harmonies on the piano, which is the foundation for the piece. Colouring in on the third instrument there, on the electric piano, is kind of the murmurs in the forest that you would hear from the animals that's far away. One of the things that I love the most about the work that I create is the room that I leave for the audience. What fascinates me the most is after someone's listened to my piece, sometimes I get messages, and the same tune will evoke a very different response from the audiences. Some people will come to me and go, this tune reminds them of the time they spent in the New South Wales forest when they were a teenager. There will be another person coming to me and saying, that sound, I remember it, there was a flood and it was devastating. And that's what makes it quite fascinating. I can control on my side the emotions I'm conveying, but what then they feel, I think, is so deeply linked to everyone's individual personal experiences in life and their memory.